Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Hope your break was great. Um, we are going to move on to the third topic now. And yeah, this is about day-to-day practices. I know a lot of you had asked about how you can maybe incorporate this. And as we've already seen before, we've spoken about spirituality being in every part of your day or in the things that you do and the activities that you carry out. So it'd be really interesting, this following subject, to learn a bit more about that, and also some traditional and specific things that you can do in terms of praying and the structural things to include when you're doing those sorts of things. So I shall pass it on to either of you, whoever would like to start on that. Let's do it.
I might start and say that one thing that I think particularly about African spirituality in general is that sometimes they may seem a bit daunting or inaccessible to people, or sometimes because people hear about things like, orishas that they're not familiar with, or the fact that they're not familiar with the language, or maybe even hearing about, concepts like sacrifice and things, people think that it may be so far removed from them. But one thing that I want everyone to remember, one of my favorite quotes is Kosi Orisha to Denigbe Bi Orisha Eni. No, Bi Ori Eni. Yeah. Which essentially means that there's no Orisha that will ever support you like your own Ori. Right? So the first place to start for anybody is with yourself. That's the first thing to start with in terms of day-to-day practice. The way you speak to yourself, the way you talk, the things you do in terms of like being in tune with your mind, being in tune with the person that you are, your self-development, your self-progress. That is the first step, I think, in any spirituality. So before people start seeking out, wanting to know who their Orisha is or wanting to tap into things more, the first place to start is with your Ori, with yourself. And also remember that there's one thing that I was told recently was like, try and learn what your love languages are and start using your love languages on yourself to treat yourself, to understand yourself, to know about yourself, love yourself. If you use words of affirmation, speak about yourself the way you would speak to your friend. Be less self-critical, understand yourself, understand how you can be a better person. Meditate, take the time to quiet your mind. All those kinds of things are the first place to start before going any further than that even. That's the first thing that I would say. I don't know, Tally.
And also, I would say that you can create a lot of symbolic rituals if you haven't gone through divination. And as long as the intention you have applied to that ritual is pure and good, then you're likely to reap good benefits. You're likely to reap benefits from that. As Tùmí said, a lot of sometimes we try very hard to seek all these things and these rituals, but a lot of your spirituality is within you. You just have to do things like meditating, learning, as you said, your love languages, and learning things about yourselves, creating rituals that work for you, and applying them. Yeah.
Sorry, Karen.
Well, what I just want to add is also, even if you are trying to direct things to maybe an Orisha, right? The symbolism of that Orisha, whether you have even anything physical that is representing it, the symbolism for it is the relationship you have with that thing from within you. So if you create something symbolic, whatever energies you feel it's being generated is you with how you're relating to that Orisha. It's you that is generating it. So that symbolism is just there to create an emotion for you, right? At the end of the day, it is you. If you feel, a lot of people have something they call talisman or whatever, right? And they think it's that thing that is generating a sort of power. No, it is you. That thing is just helping you to create a mindset. Like Tálè said, they help you to create whatever rituals or signs, right? So again, when you talk of, because I think the question here is, what do you do on a general daily basis? Again, like Tùmí said, it's not a hard and fast thing. If you have an Orisha that you venerate, it is symbolic as a point of reference for you, right? So the best you can do is, on a daily basis, you want to be thankful for life. So through whatever symbol you have, you express that gratitude. I'm thankful. Whatever are my shortcomings today, I ask to be forgiven. I ask to be improved, right? Then as I step out of my home today, guide my steps, those kind of things. They are daily things you do. In Ife, Ife is the ancestral Yoruba home where we believe that the world started. In Ife of today, there is only one day that a deity is not worshipped or is not, some ritual is not performed. Only one day out of the 365 days there. Every day there's something. So it tells you that even every day, even if it's just to venerate, to express gratitude, to ask to be improved, to ask for forgiveness, and to supplicate, that's enough. There doesn't have to be a format about it,
So generally, those are the 3 steps taken when praying. You start with the greetings. So you greet the Orishas, and then the first step is to express gratitude. And the second step is to ask for forgiveness. And the third step is to then ask for guidance or whatever it is you're requesting.
So that's not a hard and fast rule, but that's a structure that people advise is kind of a good way to pray, because before you go in just straight asking, be thankful. Then cleanse yourself, ask for forgiveness for your wrongdoings. We know we're not all perfect, before you then make your plea for your supplication. And then the next thing that I would say are some practical things that people talk about. Like in Yoruba, we talk about Ashe. Ashe is like divine authority. So when we pray, traditionally, we say, when you finish the prayer, you say Ashe. You may have seen that term used around, and it can mean like, so it will be, or so be it, or you say
it will be done.
Yeah, it will be done, kind of thing. So a common thing that's going around now, all these themes that are going around in different ways, they come from somewhere. So it's simple things like affirmations. So changing the language that you use. The things that you have on your subconscious mind, your mind can't distinguish between your conscious and your subconscious mind. So the things that you don't want, don't even think about it. Don't entertain those thoughts, keep them out. The things that you want, that are share for, is what should be at the forefront of your mind. So when you're going out in the morning, be determined. Like if you're studying for an exam, you don't even have failure as a concept. If you know you want to pass, don't entertain it. Just don't think about it. The things that you want the Ashe for are the things that you keep at the forefront of your mind. That's one thing. Try and say the positive things. The other thing are sometimes, who here is like a plant person, if you have any plants in your home or anything like that. Sometimes when you're watering that plant, the love that you give to that plant, you ask that may you yourself to be watered in that way. May you also be nourished. May you also grow. Sometimes maybe the food that you eat, if you have a garden or something, you can put some food in and say that you're feeding the earth, you're feeding your ancestors. Obviously, I'm not saying like going for your old like non-biodegradable things in your plastic in your garden or anything, and it's not like a whole portion of your dinner that you go and take outside, but just something symbolic that you can give. And also remember that what works for everybody is different, again, like we said. So if it works for you to have an altar in your room with pictures, with symbols that energize you, at the end of the day, one thing that I remember thinking about is, if we're saying that God or the creator or the universe gave us everything that we had, God doesn't need our prayers. What's God doing with them? God was able to make the whole earth. God was made the universe. It's not God really that needs necessarily the prayers, it's you. So it's whatever empowers you, invigorates you, puts good things into the universe, that you should be thinking more about what you can do. Whatever you're like, okay, I'm feeling that this is empowering me, I'm feeling that this is working for me, that's the thing that you should be working on and doing more of.
And so just really quickly, when Yoruba people pray in collectively, generally, well, traditionally, we would wear white. So that's another thing as well, as white is like a sign of purity. Yeah.
Well, I may address that later, but again, it's interesting that Tùmí mentioned you put in a bit of your food outside or on the road. As a matter of fact, that is actually a practice in most ritualistic things. For instance, when a ceremony starts or a ritual starts, there's the principle of pouring libation. And that libation is always to the floor. Now, why the ground? The ground, ile, we call it ile. That is the support we have. Our bodies, all the elements that make up our bodies are the same elements that make up the earth, the material earth. The food we eat, they grow from the earth. Even those that still feed on animals, meat and everything, those animals also get all their nourishment from the earth. When all our people that die, even the ones that didn't die, they went straight into the earth, right? So we say, we even have a term called awarale, those in the ground. So we believe all our ancestors are all embedded in this ground that support us. So when we sacrifice things and we put them on a location on the ground, right? Like Tùmí said, we are giving things to nature. We are feeding things to nature, requesting that nature continues to support us. And the support of nature is on the ground that we stand on, we walk on, we build on and everything. Some people will never eat, even their personal food, without throwing some on the ground. Some people in our tradition, they will take a little bit, maybe one bite, and say, Unile, take your own. If they want to drink anything, they will pour some on the ground. Some people, it's their practice. That is very symbolic of recognizing that the support I have from nature, let me give them from what I also eat. Right.
Yeah. And then obviously when you're a bit further on, there are things like you can use what we have cola nuts. You can use them to ask questions. There's a way that you can throw your cola nut to ask questions. There's I guess an instrument you could say, or okbele, that we have that you can also use to throw to ask questions. Then there's also obviously divination. There's speaking to babalawos. Those are like other steps in terms of practices.
And if you do go through divination and you find out which Orisha you're aligned with, sometimes you will be told there are some colors you should stay away from wearing. They're taboos, yeah. Or there's some certain foods you shouldn't eat. But those will be specific to you and which deity or which Orisha you're aligned with.
Well, what Tálè is saying essentially is that we all as individuals have a specific aura around us. That specific aura is also generating a certain frequency of vibration, right? We must find out what is in alignment, what is congruent with that aura that is unique to us. They say what faces somebody is backing another. So what is favorable to one might not be favorable to you, so we need to find out. I think we've made a little mention of that, about how religion places blankets injunctions. In spirituality, everybody must find out what resonates with your own specific vibratory energy as opposed to joining the crowd, and I think that's what Tálè is saying. In terms of, Tálè mentioned about this white. Yes, white as a color, not as a race now, as a color, white has that energy of the divine as a color, right? So we say, Aṣọ dúdú ní bòdì aláró, aṣọ funfun ní bòdì olórìṣà. Translates that the people that are into dying, dyeing clothes, right, dyes, they are most of the cloth around them, the clothes they wear will be dark because of the profession they are doing. So the alaro is the dyer, dark clothes are around them. Whereas the olorisha, it is white clothes that are around them. But having said that, there are certain orishas that have specific colors. For instance, if you are into Eshu, it's black. If you are into Ogun, it's usually things like red. Ogun and Shango, they have a tendency towards red. But all others in the Orisha system is white that they wear to worship, generally.
Amazing. That's really interesting. And kind of, I don't know about you guys. Sometimes I get a bit scared that I'm wearing the wrong color and somehow stifling myself without realizing. But no, I'm sure it's not as black and white as that. But
if you're sorry, just to, I mean, feeling scared about wearing the wrong colors, you may find out that that may be a genuine basis, in the sense that you might wear something and don't feel particularly easy that day. You might. Some people don't tend to be conscious of it, right? But certain things you do might impinge on your emotional state. Yeah, you know, but we just say, so again, certain colors may not be suitable for us. We need to find out those things. The aura, they may be clashing with our aura.
But also, guys, don't live your life guided by fear. So.
Yeah, this is true.
But we're not saying, it's not about fear. It's about recognizing what enhances you, really, as opposed to fear. Yeah.
What supports you.
Yeah, supports you,
and
somebody said, how do you find out what Orisha you're most connected with? You may feel a personal affinity to certain Orishas, that's up to you, but the Orisha that is yours, you have to find that out through being your divination. That's it. Yeah, unless you're 100% sure through maybe your surname or lineage that is the Orisha you're connected to, the only other way is divination. And somebody said, is our aura fixed? And can it change as we grow and our vibration change? Absolutely. I think, first of all, your aura is, I guess, the definition, not definition, but what we have is that would be like your ori. Like, it is believed, I said, I guess, in stories that your ori is picked out for you. But your ori, the ori that you picked may determine how your life is going to go, but there are certain things that you can do to improve your situation in life, if that makes sense. So the way you live, the guidance that you seek, all that kind of thing can change, can improve your situation. But I guess your ori means that you come with a certain destiny, and that certain things will be better or worse for your ori.
Yeah, but can I supplement that? What that question is saying is that, can your aura change? Can your aura change? Now, let me go slightly scientific about aura. The aura is actually the field of electromagnetic energies that you generate around you. From within, you generate magnetism. From space, electricity. In the atmosphere, the meet. Now, how powerful that aura is also can depend on your thoughts, the thoughts you create within you, your actions, the things that you do, the beliefs that you even have. Right? The kind of things that you do on a daily basis also can determine how strong your aura is. Again, to me, it's talking about your ori. Your ori may mean that you are destined for certain things. Sometimes people may not actualize what they are destined for because they are not going through the process that will bring about the actualization. That's when we will go through divination and they will say, perform certain ebo. that ebo, for the want of a better word, can call it sacrifice, is to actualize potentials, right? Some people also find out that some things may have gone wrong and they want to be corrected, right? So again, your aura is only fixed momentarily depending on what you yourself you are performing, what you are doing in life. So many things that you do can determine the level of your aura, right? If you go through divination and you are instructed to perform a few things, they can improve your aura. If you are, like Tùmí said, if you go through meditation and you are always in attunement, right, with cosmic vibrations, your aura will improve, right? If you speak good words, have good thoughts, your aura will improve. But anytime you say those things that are not right, you do malevolent and diabolical things, then your aura will diminish. If you look at some of these Christian pictures, like of Jesus Christ or saints, there's always this halo around their head. That is a kind of way of trying to express that those saints have auras that are maybe pure, divine, or whatever. You know, that's an expression. Again, if you are very perceptive, if you have developed your perception to an extra point, you can actually perceive people's aura when you move near them. And that's why somebody said, I don't just like this person. They don't have a reason, but they've felt their aura, and they can, and that aura might mean that, look, these people are repulsive. I don't just like this guy. I don't know why. It's all about feeling their aura. And if your aura is also strong enough, they can repel evil thoughts. They can, if people send evil things, they can actually repel them. So that's why in Yoruba we say, Inumimo ujugulo. A pure heart is better than any magical medicine or whatever, you know. So that's what I would say to that.
And I think the last question here was, are the Ajogun the opposite of Orishas?
Ajogun. The answer can be a yes, actually, but it may not be hard and fast. What the Ajagun, the word Ajogun, we can break it down. Aja, Ogun, Aja, Enilogun. Ogun means war. Ajagun means those who are waging war, those who are battling against you. So we use the collective term Ajogun for them. Now, somebody who is right next to you, living with you, can be an Ajogun if they are not wishing you good. They're not. You see, those terms don't mean that, oh, it's some spirit people. Yeah, it can be some spirit people, but it can be some actual people as well. Anyone who is targeting at you diabolically, negatively, is an Ajogun. But again, we have elemental beings in the intersection of the spirit realm and our realm. Elementals that are negative, but in most cases, those elementals are deployed by maybe people who know how to deploy them. So, but when we try to counter the Ajogun, we run to the Orishas. It's the help of the Orisha, really the help of the Orisha, that we can maintain that equilibrium, not allowing the Ajogun to overwhelm us. You know, that's what I can say to that.
Interesting. Amazing. Thank you. So informative. I hope you're all taking notes. Luckily for you, this is all recorded, so we can watch it again. And yeah, you can refer to this as a resource for knowledge. You can educate your friends if you feel like maybe they could benefit from this too. And yeah, I got to give a really, really big thank you to the Yoruba team and the father of the founders. Thank you so much for sharing everything. It's not done yet. We still have our own little artistic exploration to do. And we're going to be using all of the information that you've taught us to help guide this artistic exploration. So yeah, this is how we solidify it in our minds and in our hearts.